More than 20,000 people took to the streets to demand calls for early elections after the country's deputy prime minister resigned over an alleged corruption scandal. Chanting, "Get out, get out," some of the protesters overturned cars and torched vehicles. Others hurled rocks at police.
And now a sudden hike in food prices have whipped up anger. Jobless teenagers and young men have had running battles with police in the Algerian capital.
Buenos Aires' main train station was blocked at peak hour as workers demanded the prosecution of railway workers José Pedraza and Juan Carlos Fernández, whom they blame for the murder of Workers' Party member Mariano Ferreira.
The protesters marched on federal government offices demanding a stronger stance from the foreign and prime ministers. Protesters here today have firmly pointed their anger at Egyptian authorities for failing to protect predominantly Christians in Egypt. But they also want the federal government here in Australia to do more. They're asking Julia Gillard to condemn the attacks.
Our demand is really from Canadian general public and Canadian government perspective. We want to educate and make them aware that what atrocities he has committed.
A young girl is also in serious condition after the incident, which occurred in Punta Arenas. Protests in the Magallanes region, characterized by roadblocks cutting off essential routes, have paralyzed transportation in the region and led to looting similar to those seen in Bolivia when cuts in government subsidies saw gasoline prices rising by as much as 83%.
protests continue in Egypt. They want President Mubarak to end his 30-year rule.
About 5,000 tribal villagers took part in protests on Wednesday in the town of Maithon in India's eastern Jharkhand state, demanding jobs from the local power company. According to the villagers, 1,200 acres of land was purchased from 1,600 families for a joint venture between Tata Power and Damodar Valley Corporation. The villagers say they were promised jobs for every family in lieu of the land they gave up.
Well, around 1,000 people gathered in the Jordanian capital of Amman today to protest over unemployment and rising living costs. The government slashed prices and taxes on some foods and fuel this week to help the poor, possibly fearing a replica of the deadly economic riots rocking Tunisia and Algeria. But many believe that the recent measures to be insufficient. One protester wrapped in an Algerian flag said that he was marching against price increases, but also in solidarity with the rest of the Arab world.
This is what popular uprising looks like. After weeks of scenes like these across the country, resulting in dozens dead. It appears to be the end for Tunisia's president after 23 years in power. And by such a dramatic political development. The demonstrations started as a reaction to massive unemployment, price hikes and rampant corruption within the government. Police and security forces responded violently, in some cases firing live rounds into crowds.
by the debate held in Parliament today concerning the proposals to cut the education maintenance allowance, a number of students once again assembled in London to voice their anger.
To raise the issue of human rights in Tibet.
On Tuesday, Chinese leader Hu Jintao arrived in the United States on a state visit, and protesters were out in force ahead of his arrival. Tibetans and their supporters were outside the White House to draw attention to human rights abuses in Tibetan regions of China, and later occupation has resulted in the death of over 1 million Tibetans, the destruction of traditional Tibetan culture, and the suppression of freedom of speech and religion. Tibetan groups and other organizations will be holding events across the US capital all week to highlight rights abuses by the communist regime during Hu's visit.
A clear call for their country's leader to step down. Tens of thousands of people descending on the streets of the capital, Sana'a. The crowd made up of opposition members and youth activists.
These people are protesting for economic and political reform, which we've agreed on with the government. There is still an opportunity, but we are afraid we will reach the point of no return.
President Ali Abdullah Saleh has been in power for nearly 32 years. He's recently attempted to ease unrest, raising wages for the army and denying claims he plans to install his son as his successor. And following the ouster of the Tunisian president, he slashed income taxes and started price controls.